What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back with another Danmachi episode review. We're going to be doing season 4, episode 8 today, and this one was particularly brutal. I did enjoy this episode greatly. This episode was very, very good. It didn't actually, you would think that I might have criticized some of the animation choices, but actually I stand behind some of those animation choices. Some of them really made a ton of sense. But basically, to get down to it, the episode really opens up with a recap of what we got the beginning of the last episode with a little bit more detail. Now we know basically what Cassandra saw, what she's afraid of, what she thinks is going to happen in the dungeon, what actually seems to be going down in the dungeon based on stuff we saw. So yeah, there's a lot to be concerned about, as far as stakes go in this episode. But Bell went off. We didn't really talk about it last episode or last review. I kind of glazed over it. But Bell basically broke off from the rest of the group and went off with Boris and the other people from the village, the other high levels from the village, to go hunt down Ryu. And they know for a fact it's Ryu. There's no question at this point. So as we're in the dungeon, basically, Bell meets up with an Amazon and a couple other guys, and they really just start talking about what was happening. And he starts getting more of this information on Evilus. Now, as far as the series is concerned, we just now got the name. We know just like the vaguest amount about what this is. We just know that the Estrella Familia was wiped out by all these people, and that Ryu basically sought revenge on them. And that seems to be what's happening here. In fact, that is what's happening here. Ryu is straight up. I mean, she even admits it later in the episode. She's like, yeah, I did this. I thought this dude was dead, and turns out he ain't. So that's a thing. But they hear a noise in the dungeon. They see this like huge cavern in the ceiling of the dungeon that's been just absolutely like torn into the dungeon walls. And they even mentioned that like the dungeon isn't repairing itself. So this is like fresh, and this is abnormal. But basically, Bell breaks away from the group. He hears Marie singing, goes and meets up with her, and basically utilizes Marie to the best of his abilities to kind of pinpoint where Ryu is, and with varying levels of success. But when we get back to the rest of the group, you start getting, there's the werewolf guy, Turk, who they're really starting to suss. And, even Aisha's like, we gotta do something about this. Like, we've got to take care of this somehow. We've got to get information out of him some way, somehow. And she's like, and we can do it with violence. And they're like, whoa, hold up. Take a breather. Not a good idea. Great way to get everyone else pissed at us. And she's like, no, I'm literally just going to take him into a dungeon and boink his brains out. Not what everyone thought. Also, why do you consider that violent? I'm a little worried, Aisha. But, yeah, Haruhime, classic Haruhime's like, no, no promiscuity. And obviously that goes out the window. But then that group gets up, that group saunters off, and of course the rest of the Familia and our friends of said Familia at this point, I mean, might as well be pretty much at this point, kind of follow them down. And Turk, this werewolf dude, is acting super sus. Like, I think we pretty much know where this is going, but like he knows more than he lets on. So they even talk about his past. Now, basically, he's been there for 2 years. They really don't know much about him. And I think it's going to come out. He was part of this evilist group as well. I think that was heavily alluded to earlier on. So basically, after all that goes down, we get back to Belle and Marie, and then basically Belle runs into Ryu, and Ryu is like torturing this guy. She has got him sliced to ribbons. She's taken, looks like a bag of gems, Iris, off of his body, and like he is incapacitated and an absolute wreck. And it's rattled Bell to the core. Like, he straight up drops the potion and everything. Like, he's like rattled. Like, how did this happen? How could she be so cruel? And she's like, you need to go. This is not concerned you. Get out. And, of course, Bell, he's the hero. He's the classic hero. And he's like, no, we're not going to do it. And she's like, that dude deserves to become monster food. Like, straight up, she's just straight up. Yeah, he deserves to become monster food. So, you know how she truly feels about him. So now there's a showdown between Bell and Ryu, and this is not good. So basically, Bell picks up the dwarf, and Ryu takes off. And when they meet up back up with the group, obviously Bell has this random guy. They now know they're like, this is happening. They're getting closer to their goal, and they're having this now confrontation with Ryu, and it is a sight to behold. Yeah, Ryu is like, you could tell she's trying to be good to Bell. She's trying to like make sure like she doesn't wreck him out, but at the same rate, she's got her goals and she's got her purposes, and you get one of the other guys that was wrecked out, who's like straight up missing an arm and an ear. Like, dude's gotten absolutely wrecked, and Ryu's like, yeah, he's mine. He's got to die. Like, there's no way around it. And if you're in my way, that's gonna be a problem. And more or less, like, that's kind of where we left off. Like, there's a little bit of battling back and forth between Bell and Ryu, but not a huge amount. Like, for the most part, she's very clearly she doesn't care about anybody else. All the other people, like, she will absolutely try to decimate. But with Belle, she's at least like, using kitty gloves, and she's like, you got to get out of my way. You got to move. And, protag problems. Sorry, you can't do that. And that's where we get this scene right here, like literally one of the last scenes where she's got her wooden sword. She's got that thing and is just pointing it at Belle and is like, you. Like, I mean, obviously, all the implications there. Like, Belle's got to move. And so next episode should be extremely interesting. And I mean extremely interesting. Because unless I recollect, I think they mentioned she was the level 4, but I think she's way beyond level 4, arguably, at this point. Like, way beyond at this juncture. Not that Estrella has been around to, obviously, upgrade her or anything, but, like, she could still be stupid strong. But Belle's even stupid strong for a level 4, so it'll be an interesting showdown to say the least. So I'm really looking forward to episode 4. Animation-wise, like I said, there were a couple of still frames and things like that, but at least they added motion to it and stuff like that. There was, like the thing I always criticize JC Staff for, like they did, but they actually did it well this time. They did it acceptably, because as long as there's character motion, like I don't care if it's still frames moving, if it's a split second and it's still frames, but they're actually moving, they're not just like, like it's, I can forgive that. That completely makes sense to me. So animation wise, I'm going to give this it a 9 out of 10. I think animation was on point this episode. And funny enough, within season 2 and 3, by this point, we were seeing the cracks in the foundation, and the animation was looking really rough. So I'm really glad to see that they're putting their best efforts forward here. The character models all look really good, and the shots that need to be really intense are really intense. Like, you could tell that Amori is supervising this, because this is getting the level of treatment it deserves, and the level of treatment I don't think we've had before. So all in episode-wise, I'm going to give this sum total an 8.5 out of 10. I love this episode. It was fantastic. Obviously the next episode is going to be the big action episode. This is all lead-in, so I'm not going to fault it for that. It was just a really rock-solid episode. A lot of fun. Not a perfect 10, but definitely way above average. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Like, comment, share. I'll be back with episode 9, and we're getting close to the midpoint. And we'll talk about that when we get to episode 11. But we're going to be back with episode 9 next week. See you then. Or the rewatch. Rewatch it. Could use the rev.